Welcome to 101. I'm Rick Kaplan, and my guest today is Justin Rostoff of Klein, Slowik. Is that how you say it, Slowik?
That is Slowik.
Oh, good. I got it right. So, Justin, tell me a little bit about Klein, Slowik, what you practice, what kind of law you practice.
Klein Slowik is headquartered in New York City, New York, and we specialize in real estate land use, construction, and administrative law, dealing with New York City agencies specifically within the sphere of real estate and real property. Plumbing licenses, master rigger licenses, general contractor licenses, and dealing with the agencies who also regulate and represent those licensees as well.
Well, I see you must know a lot about those because I see all those books on your bookcase in the back there. So I'm sure they're all law books.
Actually, they're all empty.
They're just there for the decoration?
Yes. I thought it would look more esteemed during this video.
No, I think they're supposed to go this way as opposed to stacked, aren't they?
I know how to read.
So tell me a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program now that how it's going to benefit some of the small businesses and owners.
The Paycheck Protection Program's intent is directly to assist small business owners throughout the country by providing them 1% interest loans with no prepayment penalties, no non-recourse, no personal guarantees, with the opportunity to use those funds and then have the loan transferred to a grant, and they are forgivable completely. However, at this time, it has been so successful, which you would anticipate from the federal government offering 1% loans and potentially free money, that the first phase of funding through the SBA and the Treasury has dried up. So as you may have seen recently, there is negotiations within Congress to have a second phase of funding of around another $300 billion. Crazy to talk about these numbers and throw them around, $300 billion, but it's gone so fast. And if you are a small business, you have anticipated, which is important, if you anticipate that there is some financial uncertainty to your business through the current economic conditions, you qualify.
Now you're talking about the CARE package, the CARE stimulus package that they put
This
together.
has been created through the CARES Act, which came through Congress and then was signed by the president March 25th. So it became federal law that permits small local banks, SBA lenders, to issue these loans and then get refunded by the SBA. So it's also great for small banks, community banks, credit unions. They are getting around between 1% and 5% in origination fees, which are completely reimbursed by the federal government.
It's nice how they have a nice printing factory that can keep producing all this money. They should just open that up to everyone right now. I mean, that's what they need.
That is, at this time, there has been some discussion, and I haven't really set my foot in which side of the argument I fall on. There has been discussion of whether this would have been more effective if instead of the federal government providing these loans to small businesses, which again, a key component is that 75% of the loan must be used for payroll costs in order to be forgiven. This is to have the employers continue payroll. It's the Paycheck Protection Program. Why not just reimburse the employees directly? Would that have not been more efficient? Would that have not been more effective? There is discussion on both sides. All I know is that I have personally dealt with submitting applications for borrowers. They have gotten their money very quickly and they are very thankful for it. So I've seen it be successful directly. And I will say, the only success I've seen has been through small regional community banks. I have only heard horror stories about major chains such as Bank of America or JPMorgan Chase. JPMorgan Chase, who is currently being sued in California for shuffling the loan applications so they can process the more expensive and get the higher fees.
Yeah, the big banks, they never do a good job because they're like a government.
Yeah,
the processes are just so layered.
I was working tirelessly the week before this went live with clients throughout the country. And we were putting together the packets, assisting in the regulations. New interim final rules were coming out the night before. So you had to reshuffle and resubmit and refill. And the only banks that were taking them in the first day was Bank of America. And they weren't taking them for everyone. They were taking them for existing clients, not only existing clients, but existing clients with a credit history. So Bank of America had the in.
Yeah.
We could talk forever about it. That could be its own subject.
So you're dealing with a lot of construction companies, mostly.
Yes.
So the construction is stopped in New York, correct?
Non-essential construction has been stopped by governor's order, Executive Order 202.6. There are exceptions to that rule. There's non-essential emergency, anything that has to do with the health and safety of a building or its occupants. That can be conducted so long as you get an emergency certification issued by the Department of Buildings. But then also there are certain areas of essential construction that can continue with DOB approval. Hospitals, healthcare facilities, public schools, affordable housing. So it has drastically limited the active construction in the city, but it's not completely on pause.
That's interesting because, you know, how do you determine that's what's essential? You know, what if it's a multifamily, don't work on it. But if it's a office building with medical offices, work on it.
Well, that's funny you should say, because I'm representing a neighbor in a very common type of construction agreement called a license agreement for Real Property and Procedures Law 881. If you need to protect your neighbor, you need to get access to the property to install property protections. Well, the neighbor who's doing active construction, 1/10 of their proposed gross floor area is going to be used for healthcare facilities. So the entire development, even though 10% is only the essential, is allowed to continue full construction. So they fell into the exemption and they're allowed to continue.
There's always that loophole.
There's always a way, but you have to be creative in these times.
Yeah.
If you are a contractor or you're a developer, this can be a time where you need to think of and analyze deeper what could be emergency. What do you think you could get DOB to approve? And you may be able to find that some work DOB will allow you to continue.
Yeah, like I said, there's always a way. You can figure out a loophole in anything.
I will say it is, I wouldn't want to call it a loophole with that negative connotation with it. I would like to say
That's because you're a lawyer.
with proper legal counsel, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. So what do you think is the real estate industry that will work best going forward?
With what I've seen right now, architects, engineers, the design industry and design professionals, they have been very active. This downtime is a good time to continue your planning and making progress in more of the activities and tasks that were on the back burner during heavy construction. This can be a time where you're preparing for what you will do in the future and still being proactive and productive so that when this ban is lifted, you can hit the ground running. In addition, this is also a great time to start purchasing distressed assets, to think about how the market can open up for future development. And although this is a hard time for many, it's a good time for growth.
Yeah, I can see that it's going to be one of the things happening because, you know, they always say, the strong will survive. And the people that have money are going to be having a field day with all the distressed properties, you know, people that just didn't have the wherewithal to put that money aside before all this happened, you know, have that slush fund.
Yep. There is an issue that happens often when you're dealing with construction is handling the surrounding neighbors. because New York City is so congested, anything you do on your property, you share a property line. It's going to impact others, and there are regulations for that. And when you have times of active, heavy construction, wasting a day to have to deal with the neighbor can cost you a ton of money. Now, this can be a time where you can handle negotiations with your neighbors. This can be a time that really pushes negotiations and settlement. And so you can handle all of the back end stuff so that when this ban is lifted, everything's taken care of and you can move forward as business as usual.
Yeah, one of the things I've heard from a lot of people that I've been interviewing is that this is also a great time to be hiring, because there's a lot of people that have the experience and have been laid off. So it's a perfect time to find these people, where 3 months ago you couldn't get one person to come in for an interview. With experience, everyone was working.
The amount of qualified employees that are out on the market and free agents really offers a great resource to a lot of companies if they can pay. And there are a lot of, within the real estate industry, there are a lot of subchapters that can still do work. The issue will, of course, be, can your clients pay you? Are they receiving revenue? But there is a lot to be done. For myself, I'm dealing with a lot of applications and land use applications with the Department of City Planning. We are able to get a lot of this work done, a lot of the legwork, dealing with the planning, dealing with the applications, the designs, the reviews by the technical team. And we're making a lot of progress because so much has died down. So there are areas that you can do and take advantage of, so long as you think creatively.
Well, we'll finish it up with where do you see everything moving, or when do you see everything moving forward, and how?
If I could anticipate when everything would be moving forward, I'd be on CNN right now. I don't know.
Oh, so you're saying this isn't as good as CNN?
Touche. I would say that there is activity now. The court system has opened up non-essential work. So they are going to be taking in virtually fully submitted cases. Things are on the up. I think that within the next 3 to 4 months, I hope that everything can somewhat change to how it will be for the long term, or the short long term. I think that working remotely is going to become more effective for some businesses here. And I think that there has been, I've seen personally, a lot of progress and a lot of good work done from these real estate industry professionals who are still working remotely. There is a lot of activity, and I'm thankful that we have been able to stay busy. And I know a lot of companies that are staying busy. And if we can just get through this, think proactively and think creatively, there's a lot of good work that can be done.
Well, I appreciate you doing the interview, Justin. It's Justin Rostoff of Klein, Slowik, and we hope you stay safe.
You as well. Thank you for the time, Rick. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you for watching today's interview. If you'd like to be a guest, a sponsor, or even advertise in the New England Real Estate Journal, you'll find our contact information in the description box below. You can also find all our social media platforms so you can follow us, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.